terms of politics and communication, the messenger is also always important.
Yes.
So the point about the messenger is, here is Alan Kyeremanten, the Honorable, who handled something used to call presidential special initiatives. The concluding story of the PSI does not seem to be a good one.
Oh, really?
The opportunities were there, but it doesn't seem to be a good one. The NDC continuously say that when they came into power, the PSI was one of the most messed up initiatives of the Kuffour administration. This is Alan Kyeremanten, who was at the top of the PSI. Why should we believe you when you're articulating all these nice things? Where is the PSI?
Well, so Paul, you are not aware that it's all propaganda?
Tell us.
No, let me tell you. And that's why I needed to also stress that it's not just about the ideas that we have. We have the people who understand this kind of business. Mm-hmm. You understand me? Mm-hmm. Now, the PSIs, exactly as we are doing now, it was one of the most innovative strategic plan for industrial development. Why do I say so? Exactly as we are doing now, we said that let's look at 4 new sectors as a country we can promote. So we started looking at potential sectors. We said cassava. Why cassava? Because 90% of farmers are engaged in cassava cultivation.
Oh, in Ghana?
90%. And it constitutes almost 25% of our agricultural GDP.
Cassava?
Cassava, 25% of agricultural GDP. So, in fact, it is an indictment on all of us as Ghanaians that if you don't know what to do with 25% of your agricultural GDP, how can you grow as a country? So we took a decision that there's something we have to do with cassava and go beyond cassava as a food crop and turn it into a cash crop. So exactly as we are talking about now, supporting the private sector, you show the way, you provide support to the private sector and they take over. So we looked at it and said, now let's do industrial starch from cassava, because that is when you get to the highest stage of the value chain. Now, cassava industrial starch is used for food items, is used for alcoholic beverages, is used for pharmaceuticals. Today? Everywhere in the world. So, this is what I'm saying. Yes. I'm saying that's why we selected that. Now, when we started the Ayensu starch factory, over 10,000 farmers were supplying cassava to the factory. So you can imagine what that
This is a story from the PSI.
Oh, but absolutely, this is what I'm telling you.
The Ayensu starch
factory. In the first year of production, there were 10,000 farmers who were, in actual fact, it was a joint venture between the farmers and government. So when people talk about it, it was a joint venture, you can ask, Now, so all I'm saying is that fast forward, this Ayensu started, and lo and behold, our first major commercial order from the factory was from Nestle. Nestle, which is an international...
A big conglomerate.
A big conglomerate. Can you imagine that an international company like Nestle can buy a processed raw material from a factory in Ghana? Have you...
Oh, it's not just Nestle Ghana that was buying. You mean Nestle Global?
Nestle Global. I mean, the evidence is there. People do so much propaganda that, in actual fact, it stifles innovation. For the first time in the history of our country, you have a global company buying, not cassava, they are buying processed raw material into their global operations. Do you think Nestle will undermine their international credibility and buy processed raw material from a factory in Ghana? That's what Ayensu was. So by the time we were leaving, ask the NDC whether if they had continued with Ayensu story over the last 8 years. Do you know how many factories?
So where's Ayensu today?
So Ayensu now, after 2008, obviously when we lost power, you have to find out from the government, how come that nothing was done about Ayensu until Guinness Ghana Limited found, just like Nestle, that this was a golden product, meaning that a precious product that they can use to brew beer. Government never added even one bolt to the factory as we left it was what was there. And Guinness found out that we're producing industrial salt that they could use. So they went to the factory, tested it, and you can Google root extra beer on Guinness website. I'm not talking about it. In their own words, this is a record in their history, global history, from concept, that's thinking about a product, to market, 2 months turnaround time. So they took a product from Ayensu, the factory that you are saying NDC propagandists are saying had collapsed. They took a product from that factory. They didn't even add, Guinness has not added even one bolt. The same thing that they are saying, that same factory, they took a raw material, 2 months, they produced an excellent brand of beer, which they themselves are touting all over the world.
And this is Guinness Global.
This is Guinness Global, part of which is here. And they are going to do the same thing
Why
in Nigeria.
is Ayensu today? Where is the factory?
It is there. It is in...
Who owns it?
Now, government has divested 70% to a private investor. And government still owns 30%.
When it started, government owned everything?
If, as the propaganda people are saying, this was a useless thing, you think an international company will come and pick it up and start using it? And you think government would have retained 30% if the thing is as useless as they are making everybody believe? So, and at the time we started, we said, let's show the way and let the private sector build 10 more factories, one in every region. You see, so what the NDC has done in terms of discontinuing some of these things, it's amazing. And they themselves, they know. If you ask them, why are they now clamoring about Ayensu? Has the NDC added even one bolt to the fact? It's as they saw it. The second PSI was in garment and textiles.
Yes.
It's amazing. Now the NDC is talking about garment and textiles. Something that we started way back when we were in power, and we started exporting to the United States of America. You know, for the first time...
And the AGOA.
For the first time in the history of Ghana, Ghana's name started appearing on the shelves in Europe and the United States for clothing, not African wear. But this is mass production. Mass production. We're competing with China. The evidence is there.
So
that's why we built a garment village. Mm-hmm. Again, this is not government. This is not government spending. This is government supporting the private sector. Because all the people who are in the government, these are private people. So it is pure propaganda that it is private sector and government supporting, let's say, the Nora Bannermans, Kofi Ansah of blessed memory, all these people. And there's another garment enclave in Ajabin, former Kingsway stores. People don't know what is happening. If you went to the government village at the time we were leaving office at 5 o'clock and you saw the number of workers that were leaving the free zone, you will be surprised that this is Ghana.
So that's gone as well?
Don't ask me, ask the NDC. But why is the NDC now coming to talk about cassava, coming to talk about garment and textiles? And the third one was industrial salt. Mm. Again, NDC is now talking about industrial salt. That's one of the PSIs. Again, this was government supporting the private sector. Because these are private people who have invested. The late P.V. Obin, he had the factory, Pambros,
Despite, yeah.
These are businessmen
Pambros,
in producing salt. Not the table salt, but industrial salt. And government sees that this is white gold. We have a resource capacity of 3 million tons of salt per annum in Ghana.
To produce?
To produce. Currently, we do only 150,000 tons. Can you imagine that? And everything is for export. Nigeria alone can buy all the 3 million tons if we can extract that. So if you have such innovative ideas, and it's not just an idea, actually developing a program of intervention to support the private sector who are into this. And we knew at that time that it was a major raw material input for petroleum processing.
Yeah,
You're aware of
yeah,
that?
Yeah. For refinery and
For
all
refinery
that.
and all that. So we're ahead of the time. Now, they are now talking about industrial salt. After 8 years, what did the NDC do between 2009 and now?
You're sufficiently animated.
And so the like, oh yes, I mean, but
you're animated about this PSI concern.
yeah, because you see,
it seems to annoy you.
No, not annoy me, but you asked the question, and this must feed into what we are telling people that we can do. The PSIs, the people who benefited from it, the private sector, not the people making propaganda. The people who benefited from this, they are the best testimony. So when we talk about creating jobs, in actual fact, that is the evidence. And not only in Ghana, people around Africa have seen that these PSIs these should be the kind of model for transforming African economies, particularly if you're talking about industrialization. So we should not allow them to bring the same propaganda and be suggesting that, oh, if Alan is now talking about jobs that he doesn't have. Because, in fact, this is the basis. Ask why the NDC discontinued many of these interventions. That would be the answer.
After the 2012 election, we had one of the longest court series in Ghana, and you participated in that. You were always on television. And people were worried about the verdict, but the NPP accepted the verdict, and President Mahama's victory was legitimized. Now, people are concerned that here is the NPP again. They will go to the victory, the election, and come and say that somebody didn't sign this, you and I were not there, and all that, and they will not be vigilant and come and waste our time. What is the guarantee that you guys are going to the polls with your eyes wide open? Why do you feel that you are going there with your eyes wide open?
Number one, I would say that we've learned our lessons, and like all progressive parties and organizations, you use the past to inform the future. So we're working towards making sure that at least we can protect the ballot. But there are a number of other considerations that come into play. And I think that the people of Ghana should give us another chance to come and serve them.
Thank you, Alan. Good luck.
As always, thanks.
Good luck. Cheers. That was Alan Kyeremanten. Good night.